planning, we have to consider 2 hours for planning, and for 4 weeks planning session, we have to consider 4 hours.
Okay, we have actually 1 hour per week rooming.
That's also fine. Within your 1 hour, how can you pull more and more data, and how can you discuss more and more data? I'll provide you that information also in my next session. Any other query, any other question, guys?
Yes, question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, question regarding spikes. You said it's something to research, or task where you can't say that's estimation from this or this user points. Is it like to what is the output? Is it like a solution design or something like this to know what to do, and then to get a better overview and to get, or to can estimate it, or how can I understand that topic spike?
You are on exactly correct way right now, on exactly correct track. When you are doing a spike, at that time you have to analyze the solution for particular situation. This is the reason I am giving the example for R&D project, research and development, or the project where you required some sort of completely new functionality which are not available in production or in client's environment before. So you are creating that particular completely new functionality, new utility, and you are going to apply it in client's environment. When you are fitting this entirely new requirement, at that time you doesn't know where exactly it fitted and how exactly it worked. Even client also doesn't have any idea where exactly that particular new utility or new functionality is fitted and how it works. So this is something, this is the way, or this is the area where we required spike, where we required research and development, and then after research we provided the information to client that after releasing the utility or after releasing the new feature in your production environment, where exactly it fitted and in which area it you can apply it very smoothly, and what kind of result this particular functionality will provide you. And if client is agree for that, if client provide you sign off for that, then you have to start work. Otherwise you have to just consider it as a requirement, and you have to wait for clients from client side, from clients input or output.
So is the result an epic? The epic is a result of the spike, or is it or an overview of possibility solutions to have?
Epic, epic is completely different thing. A spike means you already have epic, or maybe you already have story. Spike means you are doing research and analysis on that particular story, because that particular story is related to some sort of new utility, some sort of new functionality. So that is the reason you applied spike. If it is a normal story, normal epic, then you have to go in a normal sprints also. I am giving a very simple example. Uh, I am just doing cycling. So I am doing my cycling on a regular basis. So there is no issue for me on road when I am doing my cycling. But somehow my cycle is skid, and it's hurted somewhere to maybe my elbow or to maybe my foots. So I have to just view, is it hurted much more, is it broke my bone or something like that. If it is not, then I can do my cycling again on a regular level. If it is broken, or if somewhere I seen the blood or something like that, then I think that I need some sort of little medications. I visit the doctor, I get the medications, and then I start my cycling again. So this is something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Partially correct, partially not correct. So I'll correct the things which are missing here. First thing, product owner will provide the backlog. Product owner will provide the description of every user story. Product owner provided the definition of done, definition of ready. Why? Because product owner is a person who is acting as the internal customer in organization, and for product owner, as a product owner for our client, and he or she always going in a discussion mode with client, gather the requirement. While gathering the requirement, get the entire information about that particular requirement. This is the reason, this is a job of product owner to provide the definition of ready, definition of done with entire description. Now, related to acceptance criteria, yes, acceptance criteria is matches with your definition of ready and definition of done, because in acceptance criteria, product owner provided you from where you have to start and from where exactly you have to stop. So if I break it in two separate part, we called it as a definition of done and definition of ready. But if I consider it in a single line or in a single bunch, then maybe I called it as a acceptance criteria. So definition of ready and definition of done, both are part of your acceptance criteria, or in reverse language, your acceptance criteria is part of your definition of done and definition of ready. If your product owner provided your acceptance criteria and doesn't provided definition of done and definition of ready, still fine, because he or she has already provided you the entire information. If your product owner doesn't provide you acceptance criteria but provided you definition of done and definition of ready, it means indirectly your product owner has already provided you the acceptance criteria, just not mention it brightly somewhere that this is this is your acceptance criteria. That's it. Yeah. Any other query, any other question, guys? Guys, believe me, when you are asking question, it gives me some sort of energy to express my knowledge. So, and I am always hungry for such situations. So please, any sort of question, any sort of queries, if you have any confusion you have, you can ask me. Okay, I am going to ask a simple question to all of you. Um, Today we discuss about user story, use case, definition of done, definition of ready, some sort of spikes, some sort of invest criteria also. So which part you think was really difficult in a previous life, and today we understand it betterly? So which part you think? Oh, sir, believe me, there are lot many names, but we are doing the same work. Research and development we are doing in almost each and every project. It may be a small research and development, it may be a large research and development. Agile just gives the name to that research and development as a spike. That's it.
Hi, this is Tanya.
Yeah.
For me, it was a concept of invest. I mean, the definition of each one is clear, but it's still some questions about where that invest concept comes into place.
Believe me, Tanya, you are also doing invest when you are doing your work. Just you don't know, we called it as a invest. today I'm just breaking it in smaller part and expressing this in front of you. Am I true?
I agree with that, and I'm always writing user stories, so that with that tips tricks, I'm sure I will be better. Or more details with it.
Yeah, when you are writing your user story or epic or task or subtask, at that time make sure that if I'm giving this user story or these lines to any layman person, that person can easily understand. If that person can understand, anybody in the organization can understand what exactly that user story means, from where you have to start, where you have to finish, and what you want to do. If you are success in this, you are a good writer. Sorry, come again. Yeah, definitely. And even one more thing, guys, Agile has given a flexibilities also. There are a lot many flexibilities which Agile has given. One first flexibility, it's a job of product owner to write down the user stories, epics, tasks, and subtasks. Give them a priority, which is fine. This is a job of product owner. It's a rights of product owner. But if product owner is not able to make it simpler, then anyone from the team, even Scrum Master or team members, can make changes in the description and make it simpler. Agile never says if I am giving this authentication to product owner, only product owner will do this. Agile always says if team is capable, team have to make changes, make it simpler, make it understandable, and use it. So sometimes I'm also acting as a product owner. Whether I'm not really a product owner in T system, I'm an agile coach, but sometimes I'm just wearing the hat of product owner and writing some user stories, epics on the behalf of product owner, and provided these things to my team members and ask them that are you guys really understand? Every person says we understand. Then I started my coaching and questions. What exactly you understand, you tell me. Now I am going to cross question them. What exactly you understand, which technology will you use when you are doing work in such kind of user stories or in such kind of epics, from where you start, from where you stop, or what is the acceptance criteria for this. When I am asking these questions, at that time slowly I get to know how much that person is really understand, where exactly that person is and where that person is lacking. Their lacking areas I found based on my questions, and then I updated that information in user story as well as in my communication also. And after that my team started work with full speed, and they mostly completed their work almost before time. So this is also good way to communicate with your team members and to understand are they really understand what exactly the user story is and what exactly the user story demanding. These are very small tips and tricks, guys. If you use in your day-to-day life, maybe it will make your life more easy, more healthy, and it avoid the last moments, last minute surprises, which oftenly come in our life. I seen those teams also who always says that we understand everything, we will do it, and till last breath, till last day, they says yeah we are on track, we are working on this, we are working on that, and at the last day, before demo, before 3 hours of demo, they come up with surprise that they haven't completed any single story because of so and so reason. They are not able to showcase anything in demo because there are lot many impediments, there are lot many breakers or waitings or blockages are available, and these surprises got before 3 hours of demo. where the invites are already released from my Outlook, and stakeholders and client peoples have already provided me the acceptance. I face such kind of situations also, guys. But this is very difficult. And if you know how to tackle such kind of team members, you may avoid such kind of surprises very easily. Any other part, guys, you think was difficult previously and now going forward it's very easy for us? Any part?
Hello, Alenka speaking.
Yeah.
I would like to ask, what did you do when you had such a situation that 3 hours before demo you didn't have anything to demonstrate?
Uh,
What did you do?
you want my true answer or you want my coaching answer? Yeah.
The true one, please.
Make it truth, please.
Yeah. So I'm just giving smile to my all team members, and I just doesn't shout them. I understand their situations because some team members are shy. So that's why they haven't provided me the status in a early stages. Some people want to test me in such situation, how I am going to deal and how I am going to tackle. Because I am always saying that agile coach, product owner and scrum master is there to protect the entire team. So some people want to test me in such situation, how I am going to protect them. In such cases, I send an immediate mail to my stakeholders, to my client, and to my management that there are, due to some technical glitches, we are unable to perform the demo today, but very soon, once we resolve the technical glitches, we will provide the demo and I'll send them an invite again. And by this way, I can stop my management, my peers, my superiors, my stakeholders, and because they know that I can handle such kind of situations, they agreed for it and they take it very casually. They even don't bother about such kind of situations. They just provided me their entire support, that if you required any help, any specialized person from technical point of view, just tell us, then we will provide you that person who will resolve your technical glitches. Now, meanwhile, I am buying a time from all the investors, all the stakeholders, and all the management guys. And this buy time I am investing with my team who failed to provide the actual product. Then I move to my team members and I am started verifying each and every team member's work. How much percent work that person has completed, why that person is stuck somewhere, what exactly the issue, and on priority, very politely, I am trying to resolve that issue on my own level without hurting any team members, any ego. When I am doing these things with my team members, they also know there is a bigger pressure on my head, and within this pressure also, very coolly I am communicating with them, I am chit chatting with them, I am joking with them, I am try to make the situation under control, healthy, and providing them more way, providing them more solutions to complete their task. Next time when situation arises where I want their support, at that time, if I said, guys, I never asked you before, but today you need to stretch 1 hour at least for me, and you have to complete or you have to finish this task. None of a person asked me a single question. They stretch their timing for 1 hour, they complete the work, they provided me the status, and then they leave the office. These things happens, guys, practically.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Yeah, welcome. Any other query, any other question?
I would be interested to have an answer on this question from point of view of the coach.
Yeah. So same question.
Yes, the same question. Yes.
Okay. So same question as in a coach. I'm suggesting that first you have to try to understand what exactly the situation arises in a team and why team is not communicated you till the last breath of the sprint. Second thing, you have to identify how to stop the management, because you already invited the guest to showcase something which you already committed, that we will showcase these things on this day, this time to you. You already invited the guest and guest has already started running from their home. Now how to stop them, how to move back them, how to handle the situation. So you have to identify these all the things. With same time you have to find out the solution immediately, and once you got the solutions, you apply the solution. First, stop your guest. Try to buy some time from your guest. Invest that time in your team. Try to find out the root cause of failurity. Provided Provide the solution without hurting any team member. Try to make everything under control. Try to make everything cool and good manner, and try to complete the work as early as possible, but with quality. Do not compromise in quality also in such situations. So this may be my answer as a coach. But guys, don't miss to provide the smile to your team members. After all, they are acting as like a kids. Any more queries, questions, guys? You can write to me on my mail also, guys, because I know there are few shy peoples available in my each and every sessions. They also have queries and questions, but they are afraid to ask it. So they can write to me by mail also, and I'll provide them answer also. There is no issue, absolutely. So if there is no query, no question, then I think we have to stop this session. We will meet Monday. Till the time, guys, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, stay home. Thank you so much and have a nice day. So let's see the agenda, guys. So what are user stories? Basically, what is the meaning of user story, how it helps in agile, and why it called as a user story. First point is this. Second point is how to map your user stories with actual requirement. Third point is what will be the acceptance criteria. Guys, this is a very important criteria. Without this criteria, you are not able to release anything. Fourth point is what will be the invest criteria. Now, what is this invest? Do I need to invest some money? No, guys. The invest criteria is something different. We will come on this point also. Fifth point is what is mean by definition of ready and definition of done. So these are again a points when you are running agile, guys, and based on this only you will get to know from where you have to start and from where you have to stop. So I will provide more lights on these areas also. And the final point for today's session is what really the epic and spikes are. So what is the difference between epics and spike, and why this epic is there, why the spike is there, we will see on this area. So let's start, guys. Thank you so much for joining my session. This is warm welcome. I'm your coach. My name is Gajanan and I'm from Bangalore, India. So first is user story. Uh, Before starting user story, guys, I want to give you a small example. Uh, Before few years, before almost mobile generation, we write letters to our friends, our families, our peers, our loved ones who are staying far away from us. And we just when writing a letter at that time, we provided them what exactly going on in my life. We are asking them a question, what exactly going on in their life. is there everything is fine, everything is fine at my end. If we have some sort of good news, bad news, we provided those good news, bad news through our letter. And when these letters reaches to our beloved ones, and when they started reading it, at that time it feels like we are sitting in front of them and we are talking with them. We are just telling them what exactly going on in my life, what is good, what is bad, and we are asking question to them what exactly going on in their life. So this is basically a letter format which Agile pick up when they created a story. Now how this story comes in a picture. So I'm giving second example related to this story. So if I'm a client and if business analyst comes to me and business analyst asks me, uh, hey man, please provide me some sort of requirement so that my team will work on it. And as a client, I am saying that you have to provide me a search engine on my website. I have a pretty good website on internet. You can provide me search engine on my internet pages, and that search engine should work on entire website. Now when I visited the internet website, at that time I found that there are hundreds of pages available in that particular website, and client want the search engine on each and every page. Now from here, epic, story, task, subtask, these things are started. So my epic will be to provide a search engine on client's website. This is a one line requirement, and guys, believe me, client mostly 60-70% requirements which are come from clients are in one line. We have to break it. Now I break this I break the requirement in some smaller chunks. Like client want a search engine on their web page, but they have hundreds of pages. So I have hundreds of stories. I am breaking it, breaking my epic in 100 parts. So every page search engine will provide different data while I am doing searching. Say for example, employee page may provide the name of employee, maybe the designation of employee, the working time of employee, and the address of employee. If I go on a product page may provide the product name, product information, the uses of that particular product, and so on. So likewise, I'm getting the information from each and every pages when I'm going to apply the search engine. But guys, again, I found that if I provide this breakup to one person, does that person able to work on it? Maybe no, because in my one web page there are 10-20 things are going on. 10 to 20 things information is available there. Now to find that each and every information through search engine is not possible. So I am breaking again this smaller requirement which I break from epic in again some smaller part which we called as a task. Now what is the task? So first task is search engine should provide me the user's name. This may be my first task, which condition I'll put in a search engine, and then search engine gives me the output. Second task is search engine will provide me my in and out time from the website or from the employee page. Third task may be search engine will provide me the addresses or the experience of particular users. So this may be the third task. And if I provide this task to any single person, maybe that person can work on search engine and provide the entire developed area, entire developed code. So this is called story, task, and subtask, guys. Now how to write a story, because these are all technical things. But if I am a layman and if somebody provided me a user story, then how I understand what should I do? So I am again going back to my first example, which is related to later. So if I am writing a user story, this is a job of product owner. If as a product owner I am writing a user story, then I have to provide the information to the person who will going to work on it. and in what format I have to provide this information. It's a very simple, guys. If you see on my screen, there is written as a user, as an end user, I want to perform something so that after performing any activity, I will get so and so result. Very simple. If I write my user story, not only user story, but if I write my epic, user story, task or subtask in same format, and if I provide this to layman also, then layman also understand what exactly I want to do. And based on that understanding, layman can start their work. So this is basic user story, guys. User story is a part of epic. I'm explaining it more simpler language, guys. In every attendee's house there are some family members, maybe mom dad is there, some childrens are there, some families are there, like I have brother with his wife, he is staying with us. I have sister, she is married. I have my mom and dad, I have my grandparents also, and we all are staying in at one home. So likewise, Agile pull this concept from human areas and fitted it in Agile. So we will call Epic as a parent, we will call story and task as a children's, and subtask as a grandchildren, guys. So these are connected with each other. Now, one thing here, if I have a story, I have some work, but that work doesn't have epic, it's fine. You can write down that work as, or you can act that work as a task, you can consider it as a task also. There is no issue. Agile provide the guidelines, Agile never force the guideline. So Agile says you can establish this family, but in somehow if you want to make changes in your family, it's still fine. So you can use you can do your changes in your family, and based on your changes you can apply those changes in your agile practice also. Okay, so we will go first. First is a one line condition or one line requirement which comes under epic. As a customer, I want to be able to have a wish list so that I can come back to buy my product. This may be my first wish list, or this may be my epic. But when I'm going to buy some sort of product, there are a lot many products. So for every product, maybe my priority is different. Maybe I want to purchase a shoes, but I have some different priorities, or maybe some different thinking, that I want the shoes in so and so color, with so and so weight, with so and so designs. Maybe my shoes will be very light, maybe very delicate, or it should be long running, something like that. Maybe I required casual shoes, maybe I required sport shoes, something like that. So product wise my requirement will change, my thinking will change, and I am breaking this requirement thinking in different part. Say for example, for shoes I have a different thinking, different priorities, and different likings. Those I'll consider under one story. If I'm going to buy clothes, for that I again have different thinking, different flavor, different taste. So based on that I'll buy my clothes. Maybe those are for casual, maybe those are for party wear, maybe those are for home wear, where I'm just wearing it in my home and I'm just wandering here and there. So something like that. So that may be my different story. So likewise, I am breaking the epic in different parts, which we call as a stories. Now again, if I am providing, guys, why I am breaking every time? I am breaking the epic, I am breaking the story, I am breaking the task. Why? Because when I am providing this work to single person, at that time that person should understand that work and capable to complete that work uh, proprietarily. This is the reason I am breaking epic, stories, task and subtask also, guys. So by this way you can break it in a smaller part. there is no limit in agile how many within how many parts you can break your epic or your story or your task. There is no limit. Agile doesn't have provide any kind of epic any kind of limit for it, but you can do it, so that when you are getting the information how much work is done for my particular epic or for my particular story, then you can get the exact result how much work is completed and in which area that particular work is completed. So based on that you can communicate with your management, with your client also. Sometimes client directly approaches to agile coaches or product owner and they ask what exactly going on in my so and so requirement which I had given you previously. So we can tell them in a percentile, like this much percentile work is done right now, this much percentile work is in progress right now, we are working on it, and where exactly we are. If we are facing some sort of issues, maybe some sort of queries, then we can tell these queries and questions to our client or our higher management also, and if required we can ask them a help also, guys. So this is called user stories and task and other things. Now what is acceptance criteria? So guys, basically when you are started your work at that time, because you are working as a team member and I am working as a client, and every time team is not sitting in a client's premises, and basically when we have to complete any sort of work, at that time we required some sort of concrete information based on which we can say that now my work is done. Giving a very simple example, this is the old example that I have to start my journey from my home morning 8:30 a.m. to reach my office. So my destination will be my office from my home, and if I'm leaving at 8:30 a.m. at morning, I'll reach my office within 30 minutes or 45 minutes based on the calculations. Now this is called acceptance criteria, guys, and we require this acceptance criteria, otherwise we cannot stop our work. This is an endless cycle and it continuously going on if we do not have acceptance criteria. Second thing, your acceptance criteria will be crystal clear. When you read your user story, at that time below user story, acceptance criteria should be available. If you know the acceptance criteria, and if the acceptance criteria is not available in your user card or user story, you can refuse that user story, you can refuse that card, and you can ask your product owner to provide the acceptance criteria in the user stories or in the task, so that we can start our work, we can finish our work, and we can match our work after finishing with the acceptance criteria, and we can provide you the result that now your acceptance criteria and our delivered work is matching somewhere. So this is the reason we required it in a black and white somewhere. So this is called basically a acceptance criteria, guys. Now what is invest? So basically invest means independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small and testable. So this is, if I called in a short, it called it as a invest criteria. Now what is this invest criteria? So I'm giving you a very simple example. I got a requirement from client. As a product owner, I made a list, I prioritize all the things. I provided that list to Scrum Master so that Scrum Master can do the health check of product backlog. Scrum Master done the health check and provided me the result that product backlog is fine. Now we can provide this product backlog to our team members. Now after providing this product backlog to team members, Scrum Master and product owner gives them some time to read each and every requirement. Now we call these requirement as a user stories, as a use case, as a cards. So names may be different, but the work is same. So we provided all the user stories to our team members. Team members started reading each and every user story line by line, word by word. They understand all the things. They understand what exactly client required from our side and what we have to do. So this is called independent. Independently, each and every user read the requirement and understand what they have to do. Now, negotiable. Maybe after starting work, client has provided some sort of changes. Now, here are some star conditions applied, guys. Say, for example, Agile is always working in a time box manner. Say, for example, I have a 2 week sprint which I am running, and my sprint is already started, and client provided me changes in those requirement on which I am right now working. If these changes comes in first week, within first 2 to 3 days, then it's negotiable. I can replace the changes with existing requirement and I can start work because I have lot much time right now, and I can make changes in my work and I can continue my work. So this is negotiable. If these changes comes after half of sprint done, then I'll provide information to my client that this is very hard to accommodate these changes in my existing sprint because existing sprint is already 50% over. Remaining 50% area, if I applied these changes or if I accept these changes, maybe I am compromising the delivery and compromising with the quality of final work. So I maybe consider it in our next sprint. If it comes at the end of sprint, before ending the sprint, before 2 3 days, if such kind of changes client has provided, then straightforward I'll provide them the information that whatever changes they provided us, we will accept it, but in our upcoming sprints, if they required it in urgent basis, then in immediate next sprint we will consider it. All the changes go through the entire cycle, right from product backlog refinement, review, sprint planning, and team understanding. So these changes goes in this entire cycle, then we will consider it in our next sprint, and at the next sprint end we will provide these all changes in a demo session. That is called negotiable. Valuable, guys, when we are working on any kind of requirement and when we are delivering those requirement to our client, at that time it should be work in client's environment. If it is not working in client's environment, then it doesn't make any sense. So that we called as a valuable, guys. Say for example, I am giving a very simple example again, which will be very easy to understand. I have a good car, maybe I have a Ferrari, and one of my Ferrari's tire was punctured. Now my requirement is to change the tire. So I am just asking the mechanic to change the tire and replace it with new tire or with a good condition tire. If that mechanic try to replace the Ferrari's tire with some sort of truck tire, it will not fit it in my car. Or if the mechanic started a very small tire to my Ferrari, then it again will not fit it with to my car. So this is the same thing, guys. When we are delivering something to client, at that time we should know where exactly my deliver product goes in client's environment, how it fitted in my client's environment, what is the input for my deliverable product, and what will be the output from my product to client's production environment. When we learn all these things, when we know all these things, at that time only we can provide some sort of valuable product to our client. Otherwise it come back from client's environment with lot many noises. So this is called valuable product deliveries. Estimable. Now what is estimation? So guys, if I am saying I want to complete a work, if my manager asks me how much time you require to complete the work, based on my experience I am giving a tentative timeline that within this time frame I'll complete my work. When I'm providing these timelines, the buffer timing is already considered in my timing, which I'm providing to my product owner or my project manager. And project manager, product owner know these things. They will provide the same timing to client with by adding their buffer timing, because they also know that if there are some sort of identical or unidentical risk occurs, and in that case, if the delivery goes in a slippage, then we have a chance, we have a time to manage those things and to provide those deliveries on time. So this is the reason they also added some sort of buffer, and they pass that timing to next level. This is called estimation, guys. I'll provide you more lights on estimations in our next sessions also, guys. Now small, say for example, if I'm working on some sort of card, then my card size should be small. Now how can I find out a small size of card? So giving you a very simple example, I have two cards. For one card I need to for one card, if I want to work and if I want to complete it, I need almost 3 to 4 days. This may be a big card for me. Within that 3 to 4 days, if I stuck somewhere, if I face any kind of risk, any kind of issues, or any kind of communication problems, communication delays, or technical help delays, then maybe I am not able to deliver that particular card within a time frame. So this is the reason I have to accept those cards which will complete within 8 to 10 hours or 12 hours, so that after completing that card, maybe I can start work on another card. End of the day, when the deliveries comes, end of the sprint, when the demo time will appear, at that time I should have something in my hand which I can demo in demo session to my client. If nothing is in my hand, then my entire sprint goes on a toss, and it calculated as in a zero in that particular sprint, because in entire sprint I am not able to deliver anything. So this is the reason, make your every card as smaller as you can, and then start work on it, so that when you are delivering those cards to your client or to your demo, at that time you have something which you can showcase. Testable. Yeah, guys, if the requirements are functional, you can test it, you can verify it on different angle, different point of view, and then you can able to release it in production. If the requirements are non-functional, still before releasing it, you have to verify that after releasing these kind of requirements in production environment, it won't break the production environment, it won't create any issue on production, so that my client will suffer, as well as client's end customer will also suffer. So it won't create such kind of things. So this is the reason we have to make sure that everything is working, and we called it as a testable area. We have to do some sort of testing on this. Now, what is mean by definition of ready and definition of done? So guys, definition of ready. Definition of ready means from where you have to start. I am participating in one of the Olympic. It's a running race, but I can't start my running from any point, and I can't end it at any point where I think that this is end point and I have to stop it. I can't do this. So in Olympic, there are some start point, some end point, and then I have to reach at start point. Once the whistle is blown, then I have to start running, and I have to catch the end point so that I can finish my race. This is the same thing applies in Agile, guys. When you are working on any card, at that time you should know from where I have to start my work. That is called definition of ready, guys. You should know the acceptance criteria of your story, you should know the dependencies, you should identify all the risks, all the mitigations. If there are permutations, combinations, you should identify those all permutation combinations. Based on that, you can think how you have to start your work and when you have to finish your work. Now this is called definition of ready, guys. Now what is definition of done? Definition of done is very simple, guys. Definition of done means something like you have to match your entire product or entire work with your acceptance criteria. Now when I am developing feature for my client environment, at that time I have to measure that it should not be impacted on client's existing environment. This is my definition of done. This is something my acceptance criteria. This is something my testable criteria, which I have to test and which I have to ensure that it will not impact on client's environment. So this is first thing. Second thing, all the necessary features which client required from this particular card or from this particular requirement, those all features, all the things already encoded in my application, in my work, and after that only I am releasing these things to my client's environment. Some clients are very particular, guys. When you are releasing anything in their environment, at that time they goes line by line coding also. They verifies everything. So you have to assure that whatever syntax or whatever lines of codes you are writing or line by line how you are doing your work, that should be proper and that should be matches with client's environmental coding or client's environmental standard. Client already provided you the such kind of standards and you have to match your work with client standard. If it not matching with client standard, but still if it is successful and if it is able to fit it in production environment, client will reject it, client will send it back, and client will ask you to update it as per their standard. Once you updated it, then only client will accept it. So this is called task and syntaxes which you have to measure before you are releasing your product to your client's environment. This is called definition of done, guys. It's a very simple. If you want to just remember definition of done and definition of ready, the definition is already given in the name of this sentence. Definition of ready. Ready means when I have to ready, when I have to start, sorry guys, when I have to start my work. And definition of done, when I am saying done, my work is done. When I am meeting with my acceptance criteria, when I am meeting with some sort of my client's environment or my client's standards, mitigations and rules, at that time I said yes, I done my job and now it's ready to move on production environment. This is called definition of done and definition of ready, and easy to remember. Now, what is epic and what is spike? So epic, I already told you guys that in a one line information client provided you, and we break that information or we consider that information as a epic. This is our grandparents. Story is our parents, task and subtask are brothers and sisters and siblings. So these are epics. Now what is spike? So if you attended my yesterday's session, in my yesterday's session, I provided you the concept about MVP and prototype. So spike is related to MVP and prototype, guys. When you got any kind of requirement at that time, you have to do some sort of research on that particular requirement. And when you are doing your research, what kind of research you need to do? So you need to find out why client required this particular requirement in their environment. What is the use of this particular requirement in client's environment? How it beneficial for client once I reported it or once I release it from my my development environment to client environment. So this kind of research you have to do first, and then you have to consider it as a story, task or your workable area, and then you have to start your work. So this is called spike, guys, in agile. Sometime we are doing these spikes, we are doing work on these spikes when the requirements comes related to research and development. So in R&D, or maybe client want the entirely new feature in their production environment. At that time we are doing these spikes, in Agile. We are doing all kind of research, and based on that research we provided our analysis report to client before starting our work. If client is happy with that, if client accepted it, if client provided their sign off, then we started our work on their requirement, on their new features or on their new utilities, and then we release it in client's environment. That is called, guys, basically spike. So if you see on screen, this is a normal sprint, but when new features comes, at that time it appears like this because we are doing some sort of research and analysis on their requirement. Based on our research and analysis report, we get a sign off from client, and then we again added it in our normal sprint and it moves ahead. So this is basically the difference between spike and epics, guys. Now initially what happens is, in one sprint maybe I can consider, if my epics are very small, then I can consider more than one epic in one sprint. Under every epic there are some stories, some tasks, some subtasks are available. I am working on it and slowly I am delivering it. Now when I am considering any story, any task or any epic in my sprint, in my planning session also, at that time it will be my goal that I have to provide the end result for this story, for this task at the end of sprint, based on all the discussions happen in product backlog meeting. We discuss all the things from 360-degree. Team ask lot many questions to product owner, to their technical architect. Technical architect provide all the information, all the answers related to technology, related to work. Product owner provided all the information related to business flows and how business is working in production environment, and how we have to provide some sort of requirement in production environment, and how these goes or these helpful for client. Based on that, team will start work. But there are some unidentified risks, there are some unidentified situations also, like key person is not available. Suddenly something is happen with key person in his or her family, or maybe key person is absented, or maybe not in a reachable situation. Then what should we do? Same thing for specialized person, same thing for product owner, same thing for scrum master. In such situation, what will we do? So these are some sort of unidentified risk which occurs at the 11th hour. And when such situation appears, at that time it may happens that few things goes in a slippages. Slippages means those things will not complete within a time frame, and at the end of sprint we have to provide that out of 5 requirement which I selected, 3 requirements are completely completed, one requirement is in progress, it's in middle right now, and one requirement which I haven't yet started. So I need next sprint to continue these 2 requirement. Now based on product owner's decision, we have to continue it in next sprint, otherwise it goes in a product backlog again. So this is basically uh, the relation between epic, spikes and your sprint planning and your sprint flow, guys. Okay, so now it's time for questions and answer, guys. If anybody have any query, any question, can ask me.
Hello, Mercedes on the phone. I have a question about the invest criteria.
Yeah.
Are you doing that after grooming, before planning, or after planning?
Okay. Invest criteria basically we are doing in a grooming section. Uh, when we are grooming a product backlog.